Welcome to 6 of one and Bill of the other. This is episode 4 of Just the Facts. Explain the premise of the show, Bill, like I said we do every single time. Explain the premise. It's very simple. It's very simple.
Just the Facts is where two
Is someone
good-looking,
vacuuming?
handsome...
Is someone vacuuming right next to you now?
How bad is that?
Well, let's just say it sounds like this. Explain the premise of the show, Bill, quickly, before he starts the lawnmower again.
Just the Facts is where two very handsome hosts, one from America, one politically in England, geographically in Europe, learn new facts, laugh, hang out, cry, all sorts of things. This is Just the Facts. Welcome.
Oh, that was amazing.
I felt really good about that.
What I might do is I might sort of sample that and just play it at the beginning with some like sparkly music in every episode, so we can go.
I like it.
Like the kind of 50s American sitcom music.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fact number 1.
Key West had a fire chief named Bum Farto that was convicted of drug trafficking and disappeared before his sentencing, never to be seen again. Folks, that is correct. His name was Bum Farto. Bumfarto. Now, I looked it up. That's just to be serious. His actual name was Joseph Farto, and he was born from it. So he had a sense of humor, you know? And so his father's name was Juan Farto. And I always wondered, it's like, if your name is like Jim Smith, it means your ancestor was a Smith. If you're like, you know, Johnny Baker, your ancestor was probably a baker. So with bum fart, like, can you be a professional fart? Like, can you fart professionally? Are there people that do this for a living?
The amazing thing about that is that his surname is Farto, and that's not funny enough. He has to put bum with it. Bum Farto.
He changed his name to Bum. I like the guy. Even though besides the drug trafficking thing. Other than that, I think he's pretty neat.
I looked into Bum Farto. I looked into Bum Farto. Bum Farto. Holy shit. I looked into Bum Farto.
To what end?
To what end? Yeah. Oh my God.
Sorry.
I pulled his pants down. He went missing, so we can't literally look into the end of Bum Farto because he's never been found.
Well, let me interrupt for a second for the folks at home. In America, a bum is a guy who you give money to when he plays harmonica. In England, a bum is actually your rear end. Okay, sorry.
It's an anus. It's anus Farto.
Anus Farto. That's his proper name. Like when he was in school, Farto anus.
It's amazing. I mean, all the names from school. My friend had a friend at school called Dick in Head. So
you didn't.
Yeah. So you got the surname
Dick in Head.
You got the surname Head, and your parents name you Dickon. Dicken, Dick in Head. That's bad. That's bad news.
God.
Do you know what though? Bum Farto wins. I looked into it. I looked into Bum Farto. I can't say. I looked into Bum Farto. Yeah.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is, when I was a child,
I didn't think we were gonna get this deep for Bum Farto.
Bum Farto.
We're going back to your childhood. Okay.
When I was a child, I had a crush on Pamela Stephenson because there is a very much derided movie called Superman 3, considered one of the worst. Not as bad as Superman 4, but everyone considers it one of the worst Superman films. I, however, think Superman 3 is brilliant, and I love Richard Pryor in it. When Superman splits into two, good Superman and evil Superman, there is a lady who sits on top of the Statue of Liberty and entices Superman. And she's sort of sitting on. I'll probably put it on the screen now. She's sitting on top with her legs up like this, wearing a red dress, and she says,
"Oh yeah,
hi, Superman. Do you want to have sex?" And he kind of looks at her and goes, "Yeah, I would." And she goes, "Well, if you want to have sex with me, you need to go and destroy that oil tanker over there." And he goes, "Well, obviously I'm going to do that because you are hot."
Sounds like one of my ex-girlfriends.
Well, it may be. And I remember the time you did once tell me, when we first met, years and years ago, one of your claims, I was going to ignore you, but then you said to me, Mercurial number 6, I used to have a girlfriend who used to routinely sit on the top of the Statue of Liberty, and I thought, this guy needs to be listened
wouldn't have sex with me unless I blew up an oil refinery.
And did you? Did you blow up?
No.
No. She was Pamela Stevenson, right? Sitting on top of the Statue of Liberty, and she wrote during COVID. She wrote Bum Farto the musical.
The next Shakespeare.
Do you know who? Right, this is like I'm trying to get right. Forget the laughter. This is proper people. This is learning, a learning experience. Yeah. Do you know who Pamela Stevenson is married to?
No, I do not.
Billy Connolly. Now, I wanted to say now, do Americans, because he's one of the right. Do Americans? I mean, look. How much grass has this bloke got?
You noticed, yeah. So my neighbor's mowing the lawn again. Sorry, folks.
How much
the
grass?
Same thing happens. The same thing happens to David Letterman. Same thing.
Do you know who Billy Connolly is in America?
I do not.
Oh, I didn't know whether you would or wouldn't, because he's one of the funniest men in the world. But I just didn't know. You know, like in the past, you've talked to me about Norm Macdonald, right?
Yeah.
And I've been a bit like that. Billy Connolly's probably the other way round. The biggest comedian over here, Scottish. You would know him. If you Googled him right now, you'd go, oh, Mercurial number 6. I feel so stupid. You would do this.
I'll watch some.
You would do this, right? But you wouldn't do that during a podcast where you then leave an imprint on your head of a bright red palm. And
it's all I have.
And if I edit that bit out, the continuity now just has me for the rest of the podcast with a bright red. You can see it. It's coming up.
That's right.
Right? So now, for that gag of me just face palming, I've got a red. Yeah, Billy Connolly. Anyway, basically, Billy Connolly wrote Bum Farto, the musical. And my friend at school had a friend called Dick in Head.
I always thought the most masculine name ever, there was a show called Law and Order in America, and the executive producer's name is Dick Wolf.
Oh!
Like, is that the most masculine name you've ever heard in your life?
If your surname is 6, right? And you can be called Banker 6. You might end up working in a bank. If your surname is Smith, and I call you Masturbator Smith, there's a chance you'll become a public masturbator or fornicator. and if your surname is Wolf, and I call you Dick, you're going to become a porn star. It's in the name, and there's an actual thing which I'll put on the screen which says, if I name you something, you will gravitate towards the name.
I feel like Dick Wolf is that guy in like the Hemingway novel where you go to the safari with the big gun, and he's the one that's like, I'm going to take you into the jungle and everything. My mom used to work at a hospital, and no lie, a couple thought the hospital named their baby Famali. Because they wrote female on the paper.
Oh.
Anyway.
Was that a gag?
That's absolutely true.
Oh. Can I tell you one more thing then? During the fuel crisis over here, we have these every so often where people like protest, and because of that, fuel can't get to the fuel pumps. Mm-hmm. And one of the BBC reporters did a live broadcast from the petrol station, from the gas station. And on the bottom of the screen, it said his name. And I can put this on the screen a minute to show it's not a joke. And he was called... His first name was Phil. And his surname was...
Phil?
His surname was McCann. And that's true. Right, get on with it. What's fact number 2?
Okay. In 1642, the people of New Haven, Connecticut were horrified by the birth of a monstrous pig with one eye. They became convinced that George Spencer, a local man with one eye, had sex with a pig and was the biological father. He was found guilty of bestiality and executed by hanging. I just think that if you lived in that town, are you waking up every day going, oh God, I hope I don't look like an animal? Like Sarah Jessica Parker is walking by the horse stall, like...
Oh, that's mental. They hanged him.
Yeah.
So a pig gets born with one eye. Mm-hmm. A man in the village has one eye. They say, put 2 and 2 together. He's obviously had sex with a pig. Hang him. The problem I would have is I have 3 dicks. Yeah. Now, if an animal gets born, if an animal gets born with 3 penises, Does that mean
They're
I
gonna
get
know
hanged?
it was you.
This is
They're gonna
mental.
To use 3 stalls at the same time in the bathroom.
Remind us which
you
country
piss
this
like a
happened.
sprinkler. It was New Haven, Connecticut,
Right,
which
in
is
America.
the home of MIT. No, I just made that
In America. I was just going to say to you, this is in America, isn't it? Had to be America.
Well, let's go back to Europe then with our next fact. Dancing mania was a social phenomenon that occurred primarily in mainland Europe between the 14th and 17th centuries. It involved groups of people dancing erratically, sometimes thousands at a time, and until they broke their ribs and subsequently died. I knew the electric slide was popular, but
this is a completely crazy fact, and I Wikipedia'd this one. I recommend everybody to just read the Wikipedia page for this. It's completely and utterly crazy. You read into it, and they suggest there's a chance that people. It was like the first instance of mass hysteria, or there was a chance that there was like fermented crops that acted like LSD and caused a mass delusion. But no one knows. And when you read into it, people would dance in their thousands across many miles non-stop, and it says for a period of up to 3 months. If you think about that, the more you think about it, the more totally and utterly crazy it is, to the point where you think
it's horrifying.
It can't be true. But there's paintings. I think Bruegel or someone did a painting of it, and it is documented as happening.
We're joking about it, but imagine how horrifying if you just went outside and your whole town was rocking out. And it's like, I wonder if are they playing music? Is there someone with a fiddle?
Yeah, right, okay.
You know?
So this would go on over a period of months, if you think about that, and they would employ musicians to accompany. This is true. Read the Wikipedia page. They would employ musicians to accompany the mad dancing.
Is the guy paying the musician like he can't stop? He's like, all right, man, here's the money. Just play something. I don't know anything.
It's completely crazy. And when you read into it, and it's one of these things where you think it can't have happened, but there's instances of it. There's another instance that happened around the time that the Pied Piper of Hamelin was written. So it seems like that's connected. People just dancing endlessly to the point where their bodies fall apart, they collapse and they die in their thousands. Very strange.
That sounds like a dance track. Like, you know how R&B singers always say they always have sex till the break of dawn. Like, it sounds like dancing people would always dance till you collapse. This beat's so great. That was always a bad joke. What do vampires have in common with R&B singers? They both can only have sex until the break of dawn. That ties my
where did that joke come from?
I made it up.
Oh, that was because that was terrible. That was terrible.
That almost ties my bad mustard joke from last episode. My buddy listened to it and he's like, "It was really funny, but what was with that one joke?" And I was like, "The mustard joke." He's like, he goes, "You know, you can edit that out, right?" And he didn't even say that as a joke.
I edited it.
He's trying, he's trying to be like helpful, like, you know, you can edit it. There's this one quote from Nick Nolte in The Thin Red Line where he's like, "I've disgraced myself. All my parent, all my family gave me, poured out like water on the ground." I made you break your computer.
There's beer everywhere. Oh, I've disgraced myself and I've disgraced my family. I'll never talk about mustard again. Oh my god!
Dude, then he has the best line. He goes, he has the best line. He goes, "All that my family gave me, poured out like water on the ground." And that's what I was thinking of when I heard my mustard joke played back to me. Oh, now topped by my vampire joke.
That was terrible. I always say to people, I can't remember jokes. I used to have a book called the Ha Ha Bonk book when I was a kid, and I can only ever remember 2 jokes from it. And there was one. The first one was, "What goes ha ha bonk?"
I don't know.
A man laughing his head off. What goes 99
That's
bonk?
disturbing. Good Christ. What does 99 mean?
What goes 60? No. What goes 99 bonk?
99 guys laughing and then their heads falling on the ground?
A centipede with a wooden leg.
One more joke. I'll try one more joke. Ready? Yeah, get a mouthful of beer. Let's see if I can get you this.
No, I'm not doing that again. There's beer everywhere.
Isn't it interesting that every planet in the solar system is named after a god, except for our planet, which is named after all that stuff on the ground? All right. Anyway,
did you make that? Did you make that up?
No, I did not make that up.
Did you ever play Elden Ring?
No.
In Elden Ring,
I have not.
people out there, because it was a very popular game, so this will be. I'm appealing to youth culture here. There's beer all over the lens of the camera. Dear me. In Elden Ring, you can find the Windmill Village, and there's women there just dancing endlessly. I think that. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. The first time I heard about the endless dancing of people to the point of death was in an episode of One Foot in the Grave, where this is just for the English viewers now, where Victor gets out of bed and he's doing all this stuff because he's got like when do you ever lie in bed, right, and you've got, what do you call it, restless leg syndrome?
Yes.
Yeah, right. You get restless leg, right? So he's got restless leg, and his wife Margaret says to him, "Oh, Victor, what's wrong? Have you got symphysis dance?" And when I was a kid, I didn't really know. I could guess what it meant because he was like, "Oh my God, there's beer dripping off the speakers." There's beer dripping off the speakers. She says to him, "Have you got symphysis dance?" And I kind of guessed what it must mean because Victor was like moving around in the bedroom because he had restless leg syndrome. But look it up. That's what it is. Symphysis dance. It's this medieval thing of dancing till you die.
What you said about the LSD, I did hear a story where there was a couple and they started having really bad paranormal ghost things happening in their house. And it got really, really bad. And it turns out that there was a factory that made LSD, which I didn't know they existed. It's just a big factory where they're making acid. And apparently their cat was going into the factory and coming back. And then they were like petting the cat and just tripping balls.
Tripping balls by stroking pussy. No.
No, I just pointed to the camera because that was a good. I think Six just made a TikTok. In 1967, the Doors scored their first #1 hit with "Light My Fire." Elektra Records founder Jazz Holzman offered each member a gift. Jim Morrison picked a 1967 Ford Mustang inspired by his hairstylist Jay Sebring. In 1969, Morrison mysteriously lost the Mustang, and its fate remains a mystery. Now, I looked up, and there was a picture of Jay Sebring, who was murdered in the Sharon Tate, the Manson killings. And, oh my God, he's wearing a bathing suit, and the guy's packing some serious dog. It's distracting. Like, you go, put the picture on screen.
Hang on. What's he called?
Jay Sebring, Sebring. So you go to like see and go, oh, this poor guy. And then I think if he literally pulled his pants off and was completely naked, it would be less distracting. It's really like unreal how bad. It's like he's sitting in a bathing suit next to her, if you see the right pic.
Oh, I'll tell you what, though. Look at this picture here. Oh. Well, she's not wearing a bathing suit there, but yeah, what is that going on in his trousers?
Like, it's like distracting.
It is distracting.
Like,
I know,
like if he was at a press conference where the president announced that we were going to nuclear war, he would pause in the middle and be like, "Good God, what's happening over there?" The Earth gets about 1 pound heavier every second due to absorbing meteoroids and other space debris. You and me both, Earth. If you have a Brazil nut allergy, you can develop an allergic reaction if you have sex with someone who had recently consumed Brazil nuts. A study in 2007 documented the first case of a sexually transmitted allergic reaction to Brazil nuts. That can never happen to me because I'm American, and I have American nuts.
You were desperate to read that out.
I know.
To put that gag on the end.
I was like, I hope he doesn't cut me off at the end of the fact. In 1984, English grandmother Jane Snowball ordered groceries with her TV remote, sending it through her phone line to her local store. She was the first person to ever shop online. And I was just thinking, you ever go to school and your buddy's like, yeah, man, my girlfriend, she lives next town over. She is so hot, man. It's crazy. You're like, your girlfriend? I don't think you got a girl. What's her name? And he's like, Jane Snowball. And then, like, he always uses the full name. You're like, hey, what'd you do on summer vacation? I went to the park. And he's like, oh, man, I didn't get a lot done. All that making out with Jane Snowball. Like, it just sounds like a made-up name, like, really badly.
What, like Bumfarto?
Like, Bum Farto should marry Jane Snowball. Then it would be Yellow Snow could be their son, I guess.
Oh no, she'd be there thinking all my life I just need to get married to get rid of this Snowball name, and then Jane Snowball becomes Jane Farto, and she's like, bet no.
You know, Bum Farto's like the most charming you ever met. Till of the Katzenclavier, a hypothetical musical instrument which consists of a line of cats fixed in place with their tails stretched out underneath a keyboard so that they cry out when a key is pressed. The cats would be arranged according to the natural tone of their voices. I was really disappointed because I Googled this hoping to find one, and the dude had it, but it was just like fake cats. Like I was hoping for a bunch of real cats, like see, the guys playing Stairway to Heaven, you know.
I saw this fact and I was like, we're not using this one because that's so cruel. Because I mean, I just might be a cat lover, just might be.
It might,
but then actually, because of my poor reading skills. I missed the word that I caught it that time. A hypothetical instrument. I mean, there can be loads.
What does that mean? Does that mean a scientist was like, maybe we could do this?
What a weird fact! Like there could be loads of hypothetical instruments. You could line up a row of men, naked on all fours, and you could
right down to the gutter.
You could get a table tennis ping pong bat, yeah, and when you slap their arses, they each fart in a different pitch. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of hypothetical instruments. Bum farto. You know, just line them up, and whip those pitches out. Whip those pitches out.
Whip it good into shape.
Oh, yeah. Right. No. Sorry. Ready. Here we go. Ready.
Ready.
Let me get my paddle. On my ass. Hang on.
All right, I don't like where this is going.
Hang on.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. Please rate and review the podcast.
Another hypothetical.
Please like and subscribe to see more content such as this. Please hit the bell thingy.
I'm going to call it the Bum Farto.
Subscribe to this RSS feed. Anyway, the American rock band The Postal Service was sent a cease and desist letter by the United States Postal Service for trademark infringement of their name. After negotiations, the USPS allowed the band to use their name in exchange for playing a free show at their national conference. This happened to my old band, too, the Department of Water and Sewer. Oh man!
Oh, that was good. That was
Thank
good.
you.
That was good. That was good. The latest episode of Mercurial number 6 listens to Bill tell jokes. That was good. That was good though. That was good.
I can't help it.
That was good.
About the mysterious case of exploding trousers that occurred in New Zealand between World War I and World War II. It turns out farmers had been spraying a particular herbicide, which would then crystallize and collect on their clothes, then ignite when exposed to spark or open flame. Crikey! Liars! Bloke's pants are on fire! Like, I can't do it in New Zealand. Accent? Like, oh man, that's funny though. Like, everyone's pants just randomly catching fire. So much so that they refer to it as the case of exploding trousers.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
How strange.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. When I was growing up, we used to, there was a myth of spontaneous human combustion, which has been dismissed now as like an urban myth. But I can imagine that. Like, if you didn't know what was going on, exploding trousers. It sounds like a Wallace and Gromit, Aardman Animations film, where a bloke gets up in the morning, gets out of bed, does whatever he needs to do, really, and then to prepare himself for the day ahead. Sorry. It's too late in the night to do this. He puts his trousers on. He thinks about leaving the house, and then boom! His penis splattered. It's just.
Oh man.
His penis is on that wall. His
like
arse cheeks are on that wall. It's a mess.
Penis looks like his penis looks like when you're making s'mores. There's a fire on the end of it. Crikey, my placca's on fire! I didn't even tell a lie. My pants are on fire. I'm an honest bloke, and my pants are on fire.
Oh God.
Well, all right, let's take it up. We've been in the gutter, so let's take this. Let's make a more cultured fact. There is a test for anal grip strength. That's true fact. There is a test for anal grip strength. Some people have high IQs, and some people have a high number for the anal grip strength test.
I need to spat. I nearly
I know. I almost called you. I saw you drink, and I was like, I gotta get this one out real quick. Which is the same thing Bum Farto said when he had to get out of town after his drug trafficking.
Can I suggest what the scale might be?
All right, let me get my drink out. Okay.
So, do you have pepperonis in America?
What?
Pepperami?
Is that like
It's in a
pepperoni?
green. Yes, but it's in a green packet, and it's like a long, thin. It's like a little, like a knitting needle dick. Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, like a knitting needle dick. I'll put it on the screen. Hang on.
Is that what they're singing about in that song? A little green bag.
I bet you have.
Mr. Fine, I'm losing my mind.
Hang on. Looks like this. Look. Hang on. Oh, bugger. Hang on. It looks like. Hang on. I've just changed the whole angle of my camera now. Hang on.
No, I'm just looking at a guitar right now.
Right, hang on. It looks like that.
Oh, that's like a Slim Jim. Okay.
What? Like a what? These things look
A Slim Jim.
like that.
Yeah.
Like this.
Is that made out of meat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
Slim Jim.
it's like a salami, pepperami. It's very thin, isn't it? It's like a needle dick.
Sure.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
So I think so my scale for anal retention. What's it called? Not anal retention. Anal.
What do you tie a dumbbell to the end of that, and if they can pick it up and bring it across?
Here we go. Right. So so the people in the UK will know what I'm on about now, right? So you get a pepperami, you insert it into the rectum, into the anus, yeah, and the person has to clench, yeah, and if they can cut through and cut it in half, that's a number one.
Cut it in half.
Cut it in half. That's a 1 on the pepperami scale, yeah.
Okay.
However, if they can do that, you want to move up the scale, see if they've got a stronger anal grip. You get a piece of proper Italian salami. So we're talking about the thick stuff now, proper thick. Yeah? You insert that straight up the rectum, and then you get them to clench. If they can cut through that with their sphincter muscles, that's a 2 on the scale. And then you move up, snooker cues, pool cues, golf clubs, and number 10 would probably be a baseball bat. There must be something similar to that.
Well, I've had something similar, but not for my anal grip strength. I was once at the urologist, and I never mentioned any problem with the stream, as they say in Ghostbusters. And he sent me with a nurse to a back room, and she took, and I'm not making this up, she took like a blood pressure cuff, but a smaller version, put it around my penis, and it had me pee, and while I peed, she like tightened it. And I was really uncomfortable, as you'd imagine. So I just stood like Superman in the early 50s comics with my hand on my hips, like I would have, and I would pee, and the lady would just go, and it would like stop, and then she'd pee again. And then it got done, and I was all weirded out. And I go to the doctor. I was like, what about that test? He's like, no, yeah, you're fine. It's fine. Like, I was like, why did they do it? A. And B, there was no issue. But yeah, that's a true story.
Is that true?
That's absolutely true.
And that wasn't for Pornhub. That was an actual.
No. There was no like.
Sorry, I must have missed. What else?
I didn't wink at her. No, I didn't.
They
wink
put
at her.
a blood pressure band around your, and they made you pee,
And as I peed, they would tighten it and then loosen it, and they would measure, I guess, whatever I'm.
Why did you have to pee?
Well, they would make you drink a lot of water before you did this.
Bill, are you sure this was legal?
I don't know.
Are you sure this was
wonder,
legal? This is like Joey Tribbiani is Taylor.
There's somebody's watching this or watching this YouTube or listening to the podcast, going, "I saw that on the dark web."
This is crazy.
But yeah, and I didn't even say like, yeah, my stream's a little weak or anything. They were just like, "Oh, you're going this way." I was like, "All right."
I've got to say right now, I can't. If you've got a nurse in a room putting a band around my appendage and making it tighten, I'm not peeing. I can't pee at that point. I can't pee. And also,
I not only peed, I posed like Superman.
Yeah, so
Action Comics 1.
If I'm posing like
if you could put a picture of Superman, put a picture of when he had had the dark S. Yeah, I was just standing like that, and I had my one eyebrow raised. Yeah. And then, like, when she tightened it, I was still peeing, and she's like, "That's impossible!" And I'm like, "Not for me."
But if I was standing there like this, and because it's going to be a cute nurse, at least in my fantasy, a cute woman is now in the room. I'm not expecting this, and she says, "Okay, Mr. Mercurial number 6, can you just flop your penis out, please?" So I do.
Yeah.
And then she says, "Can you and then she starts to put the tightening the thing around it." I'm going to say, at this point, am I not supposed to be erect at this point? I don't feel like I'm at my best. I just said I don't remember. I think I just said something like, I think I just did like an excuse me. Like, so she was like, "All right," and you're at the urologist, so when they tell you to bring your pee, you're like, "All right," you're just walking around, flopping around. Like, and I learned from my wife who gave birth, you get to a certain point, you just have no pride anymore or no shame. Like, my wife was giving birth, and like 25 people come in the room, and they're like measuring it with a tape and stuff, and it's the same. So I do, and then she goes, "All right, I'm gonna put this blood pressure cuff," and I was like, "Excuse me, you're gonna what? Why? The who?" Oh, Bill, it's nice. It's nice that you had to go to the urologist and go through that to realize that you came to a point in your life where you had no pride and no shame. Not anymore. I achieved that point without any of that going on. I just achieved it sitting in this chair, looking into the camera. That's me. Shave his head, and then that was me taking my stream test, And then Marlon Brando was like, you must pee for, you must prove that your stream is like them. Your stream will inspire them. That was quite good. Inspire. Thank you very much. The world record for longest name is held by a man whose name contains 746 letters and 27 words. Each of his 26 surnames started with a different letter in alphabetical order. His last name told the story of a wolf slayer whose ancestors came here on a tungsten spaceship 1.2 million years ago. I always just picture that. You're at a party, and it's like, "Hey, I'm Bill." And the guy's like, "There was a cold and endless void before the waters." And, he goes through the whole thing. And then someone comes in, "Hey, Bill, I just, sorry, I'm a little late. Who's your friend?" And the guy's like, "There was a formless water void." You're like, "Oh, no, we got to sit through the goddamn Wolf Slayer tale again." His grandson, Dick Wolf. Which name would you rather have then? The 26-word... telling the story of the alien spaceships, or Bum Farto? Which one? If you had to pick one, it's tricky, isn't it? I'd go with Bum Farto. Yeah. I mean, as you can tell by the humor of this show, we both think farts are pretty funny. So if my name was Bum Farto, I'd laugh every time I introduced myself to someone. I would never get old. Like, "Hey, what's your name?" "Bum Farto." He sounds like an international man of mystery. Like, I think Bum Farto is a James Bond villain, Like, he just sounds like, he's like, "Hello, it is nice to meet you." And they're like, "Oh, there goes that Bum Farto." The problem is it's not fair, because if there's like a bunch of people in a room and somebody lets out a silent but deadly, they're all going to think it's Bum Farto. Like, "Oh, yeah, the guy named Farto didn't do it. I'm sure it wasn't you." All right, I think that's about a good place to end today's show. Oh, before we end the show, we are looking to have a new episode every other Thursday. So please, it really does help us if you like, subscribe, and hit the little bell Yes.
You go hit the bell.
Hit the bell.
There's a bell. You hit the bell. And if you're listening on podcast, hit the RSS feed. You get the RSS feed so we get in your mailbox or something.
Yeah, what he said. What he said.
Yeah, that thing. That stuff, yeah.
So, on that note, till next time.
Till next time, have a great Thursday or whenever you happen to be watching and or listening to this. From Bum Farto, Six and Bill, have a lovely over and out.